Good day, everyone, especially to our instructor, Ma'am Luella Digamon. Good day, Ma'am. I am Arlando Longo Sapuras Jr., BEd second year student from SCCT Clavera Extension. My report is about Mendelian Genetics. Gregor Mendel, born in 1822, died at 1884. He was responsible for the lost government inheritance of traits, and also he was Austrian monk. He was studied the inheritance of traits in peat plants, developed the laws of inheritance. Mendel's work was not recognized until the turn of the 20th century. Gregor Mendel, between in 1856 and 1863, Mendel cultivated the tested sum of 28,000 pea plants. He found the plants rather, offspring, retain traits of the parents. This is the example of pea plants. Green siya na color, murag na seeds. Then, amo ini aniza, amo ra siya bitaw na tanong na diyon magulay. Oo, amo rin siya sama. Okay, the particulate inheritance. Mendel stated that the physical traits are inherited as particles. Mendel did not know that the particles were actually chromosomes and DNA. Di ba kita tao have 46 chromosomes, 23 chromosomes from male and 23 chromosomes from female. Genetic terminology. Genetic terminology, there are three types of genetic terminology: is a trait, heredity, and genetics. Trait, any characteristic that can be passed from parents to offspring. Heredity, passing of traits from parents to offspring. Genetics, study of heredity. Types of genetic crosses. There are two types of genetic crosses: monohybrid cross and the hybrid cross. Monohybrid cross involving a single trait. The hybrid cross, it is an involving of two traits. For example, sa monohybrid cross is a flower color. Di ba dyan flower na kuan na dyan single ra ang color na pare sa red, orange, yellow, di ba isa ka color ang tagtawag na monohybrid cross. Then at sa the hybrid cross amo dyan ang remix na color dyan itaglahi-lahi ang color pero isa ra siya kakapunan an isa kabuyak dyan isa kakapunan pero namuyag sila ng taglahi-lahi na color. Di ba sa isa kabuyak dyan may pink, orange, or red, puti. Di ba dyan maghalo sila. Amo dyan bilong siya sa the hybrid cross. Punnett square. It is used to help solve genetics problem. How to make a Punnett square? Punnett square is allow geneticists to predict the possible genotypes and phenotypes of strain. It is the example both parents are heterozygous for yellow pea allele. Number 1, make the grade place in the alleles of the gametes of the parents along the top of grade and those of the other parents along the left-hand side. Second, combine the parents' alleles inside the boxes. The letters show genotypes of the offspring. Number 3, use the law of dominance of determine the phenotypes and phenotype ratio of offspring. So amo ini sijaan table sa kuan sa Punnett square. Then designer genes. Designer genes allows two forms of gene, dominant and recessive. And dominant is stronger of two genes expressed in the hybrid, represented by a capital letter R. Recessive is the gene that shows up less often in the cross, represented by the lowercase letter r. More terminology is genotype and phenotype. Gene is combination for a trait. Example, double R, then big R and small r, and small double r. Phenotype. The physical feature resulting from genotype, example, red, white, amo dyan sisa, an example sa phenotype. Then, genotype and phenotype and flowers. Genotype of alleles R is represented for the red flower and the small r, excuse me, yellow flower. All genes occurs in pairs, so two alleles affected of characteristic possible combination are. There are genotypes is double R, the color is red. And genotype is R, the big R, and the small r, the color is red. And then the genotype is double small r, the color is yellow. So genotypes. What do you mean by genotypes? Genotypes is referred to the genetic makeup of the organism and order. In other words, it is described or organism complete set of genes. So ang ato sa genotypes. There are two types of genotype. It is the homozygous and the heterozygous. And homozygous genotype is gene combination involving two dominant or two recessive genes. Example, double capital R or double small r, also called pure. Heterozygous genotype is gene combination of one dominant and one recessive allele. Example, single R but capital letter and single R but it is small letter. Then also as called hybrid. Why pisum sativum? Kining pisum sativum amo ato si Zaan jadton kuan bitaw pea plants amo jadto si Zaan pasabot sa pisum sativum. I think it is an scientific siguro na nga yan, no? Pisum sativum. Can be grown in the small area, produce lots of spring, produce pure plants when allowed to self-pollinate several generations. Mendel experimental methods. During in 1850s, Mendel studied genetics by doing controlled breeding experiments with pea plants. And pea plants were ideal for genetic study because Mendel could control which pairs of plants reproduce. He was able to find out which traits came from which plants pairs. So Mendel hand-pollinated flowers using paintbrush. He could snip the stamens to prevent self-pollination, covered its flower with a cloth bag. It treats through several generations. Mendel's law. There are three types of Mendel's law. What is this? It is the law of dominance, law of segregation, and law of independent assortment. Law of dominance. It is a genetic, it's relationship between alleles of one gene in which the effect of phenotype of one allele must the contribution of second allele of the same locus. Law of dominance, it is also a cruise of parents that are pure for contrasting traits. Only one form of trait will appear in the next generation. All the offspring will be heterozygous and express only dominant trait. How Mendel began? Mendel reproduced pure twins by allowing the plants to self-pollinate for several generations. Result of monohybrid crosses. Inheritable factors of gene are responsible for all heritable characteristics. Phenotype is based on genotype. Each trait is based on two genes, one from the mother and one from the father. Law of dominance. Is this the same trait genotype yield of law of dominance? Then there is the two types of phenotypes. Law of segregation. During the formation of gametes, the period of alleles separate or it is a segregate from the word segregation. No? Segregation is separate, segregate. Then randomly so that gamete receive one allele of the another. So law of segregation is during the formation of gametes, eggs or sperm, the two alleles responsible for a trait separate from each other. Alleles for a trait are then recombined at fertilization, producing the genotype for traits of the offspring. Okay, the last is the applying of the law of segregation. No? So this is tool. T violet color is represent for the T tool, and then the yellow is represent for the small t. Law of independence assortment. It is the most important principle of Mendel's because law of assortment independent because its emerge of one trait will not affect the emerge of another. So this the law of independent allows for different traits are distributed to 6 cells of spring independently of one another. This law can be illustrated using the hybrid process. The hybrid process cross, a breeding experiment that tracks the inheritance of two traits, Mendel's law of independent assortment. Each pair of alleles segregates independently during gamete formation. Formula, letter B is the formula. Second is 2 is the exponent of n. Close and open parentheses, n is equal to the number of heterozygotes. That's all my report, and continue Miss Jacqueline Laurena for the pedigree chart. That's all. Thank you.